Hello, my love. Welcome to Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore, and today I'm going to be, yes, reading your tea leaves. Welcome, 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 welcome back. Welcome here for the first time. This is pretty informal. I'm just going to be real. We're pretty informal over here. I like to ramble. I like to really look at these tea leaves, go down some corridors, go on a little journey. And yeah, I don't know. It works. It works for me, anyways. So I hope you stay. Uh, we are here together. It is beautiful to be alive. Well, what we perceive to be alive, anyways. I think we are. I think, right? Things are getting a little sticky, aren't they? It's hard to tell. Now, we have what looks like Leo right here. We have Leo. Uh, we're getting close to Leo season. I can say that. We are in Gemini season, which, um, man, what an active time of the year, right? Uh, Very mercurial. Maybe not in the sense that, like, there's a lot of emotional volatility, but, right? But, yeah, it does seem like this is one of those periods of time where things just be popping off, right? And so as we get further into the season, if that's winter in the southern hemisphere or high summer here in the north, things just become so potent, right? We're getting to that peak point, the longest part of the year, at least in the northern hemisphere. I don't know. It must be the opposite, right? Now I know the seasons are different, but I haven't really thought about what are the days like. So they must be getting shorter down south. So we're getting to that point, that pivotal point where we kind of reach our limit and then we turn, right? So I feel like this Leo season coming up, which would be, now I'm terrible with dates, but July 21st, maybe? I don't know, somewhere in there. In the middles of July's, and then going into, of course, the beginnings of August, right into the middle of August. And it's a period of time that I don't know. I guess for me, I think of, you've done so much work and you're there, you're at the pinnacle of things, and then uh you start to like become very self-aware, like I'm getting a little worn out here. I'm ready to maybe slow down a little bit. Maybe it's time to kind of, put the cruise control on. Get me a little nappy nap. Things have been long. The days have been long, baby. Um, so we have Leo. I don't feel like this is a person. It doesn't feel like it's represented as a person. It feels like a time period, right? So Leo season's gonna be important to you if you are a Leo or not, right? I'm sorry, baby. I'll keep it down. I am outside, and I'm good friends with. We have some house finches, and we have some robins that have nested. They nest right around where I do my readings outside, and we're very cool. We're very cool. We're on good terms. We talk throughout the day, right? But when I get out here, and if I get a little too loud, they let me know. They say, "Babe, the babies are sleeping. What are you doing, girl?" So I'm looking at this beautiful little house finch that's just watching me, saying, "Keep it down, babe." Okay, so we have the coming Leo season. And there is a feeling of making sure that you're fortified, making sure that you have it together, um, getting things stable, getting that foundational piece of your life, your home, domestic work, where your resources are flowing from and to, all that stuff, right? The stuff, I was going to say the boring work of the material. I know I'm so judgy, right? I even though, I'm a Virgo and a Capricorn in my major alignments, but I have that Aquarius moon, so then I'm just like, oh, let's go off for a little, eccentric journey into wherever, but I should like systems, but man, the tedium of the material can really get to us, can it? So, but this is the time we get into that middle summer, and it's like we have to regroup ourselves. So we have a goddess right here, and do I have my pencil? Do I have my pencil? Sorry for saying it's so early. It's not that early. I've been up for quite a while, but I have one of my knives. I'll use this. Um, Okay, so we have the goddess seated, and look at this. She has her head would be like right in this area, right here, and then hand raised, holding like a looks like a cup. Another holding a cup over here. We have kind of a side profile also right here, where the eye would be there, the nose would be there, the chin would be there, and it really kind of has that crone. She's like looking this way. It has that crone energy, right? But this is a person who has spent their life in service of not just others, of themselves, of course, but there's a tendency to like, this is like the person that comes to a holiday, goes to a dinner party, and they're immediately helping. They're, what can I do? They're not even like, oh, can I do something in the kitchen? They're in there grabbing, you know, um, an apron and getting the knife in their hand because they're ready to start, like, prepping. They're ready to start, being in the mix of the thing that is being created, right? The whole, on the same flow of energy. I hope my tummy is rumbling, you guys, and I hope it's not picking it up on the mic, but if it is, I'm sorry. um, so I see this person. I almost feel like there's something like a message from the past, a story from the past, something that is going to give you context to a situation or an era of your life that maybe didn't make sense. So we're talking like, you know, the elders of our family, the maybe like a distant auntie or, um, your grandmother's sister. What, that would be a distant auntie, right? I do. I feel like it's like a not direct figure, but somebody who has this very similar energy to your mother figure, your grandmother figure. So I'm guessing it's from that side of the family, but not, maybe they lived in like a different area of the country or even like on a different continent or something. You know them, you've been around them, but they're just not physically accessible, and or there's no consistency. That's what it feels like. There's not a consistency in seeing them over the years. Now, I feel like there is something coming here where you will be with them. If that means that you're having dreams, if you are having visions, you're doing some kind of internal work, and these messages are like really starting to come through for you, or if they are like literally visiting. I'm on the fence here if this is in the physical realm or if this is something where you're getting messages, right? You're like receiving that interaction, that communication, okay? Synchronicities, uh, again, dreams. It feels very visual. Um, so that's where I'm like, I don't know if this is physical. It kind of feels like it could be. I don't know. But I feel like it's a thing where it wasn't like a secret so much as maybe nobody just never explained. You know what I mean? We have the number 8, and I want to see like kind of what I'm not going to get in your family business like that, but I want to kind of see if we have an idea of like what is she bringing to you. So it looks like we have like the name Corey, maybe Cory, or Corfu. It could be Corfu, Corfu. Uh, please take me, take me with you. No, I need to go to the ocean. um. Ooh. Okay, so we have the portal. But I'm thinking it's almost like a pumpkin. And with the pumpkin, I'm getting that image. It really kind of almost looks like it has the carrot. It's the carriage. So we're getting this like feeling of, well, the whole like pumpkin turns or the carriage turns back to a pumpkin at midnight. Uh, there seems to be a bond under false pretenses and short sightedness, very narrow vision here, and not a good plan. So to me, it almost feels like coupling or marriage under the circumstances of not seeing the full picture. Like they, not telling you all about something, right? Um, and maybe that's about their identity. Maybe that's about, what their likes and dislikes, how they live, what their true goals are. You know what it doesn't have to be like, secretly they have like a whole other family or something like that. Um, but something that's like fundamentally not impossible to get around or to grow to understand, but a fundamental mistrust, right? And I feel like this is kind of, it feels like something you've already known, and I wonder if this is kind of, I don't know if it's like the information you're getting from Auntie, and I'm gonna look at the cards real quick, is related to an old thing that like maybe, and this is just me trying to look at this puzzle, uh, an old thing that's kind of like happened within the family or within your life, your small community there, that kind of set you up for a repeat and pattern. Okay, so, you know, you live in a household where your family, your parents, I don't know, had like maybe a tumultuous relationship, but they forced it to stay together, to just to, and maybe that was kind of hard or miserable. But you're like kind of repeating the pattern of the mindset that like I'm not giving up no matter what, or whatever, something, or maybe the opposite, just like continually giving up, having, like a cycle of, what do they call that? Serial monogamy, which I think is like where you are always in a long-term kind of relationship. Like you maybe get divorced and then you immediately meet somebody else and that turns into a long-term, you know what I mean? Um, it might be something like that. Let's see. We have the Magician. Okay. heck going on, man? So this is... Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on any toes, this is all love. And also, right, like I just like to really emphasize that who cares what I think, anyways, right? But there's no judgment in this space. You know, whatever we be doing, I've seen worse. And you know what I mean? Like, it's not even about worse. It's like people are people. We're all just trying to live. Sometimes we do, you know, or feel or experience things that we might feel some shame or guilt talking about, and that hits like a... when somebody brings that up, even indirectly in a reading, it's like, yo, yeah, that's like that might make you really start, you might obsess on the little detail a little bit, But here's the deal. We're all just doing our best, man. We're all just doing our best, you know? And so I'm just reading the cards. I'm not trying to, like, whatever. We're all having fun here. So we have the Magician, we have the Six of Discs, and we have the Knight of Discs, right? So we have this, like, very, very firm, solid, beautifully built material world, right? Your home life, your career, your family members, maybe even like your friends network or whatever. Feels pretty dang good, dude. Feels like you're really a very talented, capable, motivated, well esteemed, liked, respected person. Honestly, I mean, you are doing the work within that Malkuthian based reality, like an all star. Okay, so awesome. But then we get to, and this is where I feel like the layer of kind of like who you kind of end up getting close to. Now, if it's romantic or not, it doesn't really matter, right? We see echoes of the kinds of people that we let into our lives throughout all of our relationships, right? And what does that mean? We see similar tendencies and traits in the people that we let close to our lives. So if we are the type of person that lets people run us, babe, you're going to see that most people in your life try to run you on some level, right? Now, for somebody that has strong boundaries and, really commands, like, if you're not going to meet my energy, now it doesn't have to be the same, but if you're not going to put in the effort in your own way, and match the level of energy, then I'm sorry. It's all love, but kick rocks. We don't have time for this. The dang old world seems like it might be changing drastically into a new era. You know what I'm saying? Like, things be popping right now. We don't have time for this, but, and this is where I want to be careful, but, you have a tendency to be willing, and I promise you, it's from the garden. My nails are just trashed. I've been out doing so much work outside, so I am a filthy filth a little bit. I did try to scrub them. But you're willing to sometimes, and I don't think it's like conscious where you're like, I am willing to destroy everything I built for this person, but sometimes you do let people in your life who either they're distracting or they come in and they're like, I don't like you doing that, or I don't, whatever it is. I'm not going to get deeply into it. We could sit here all day and gripe about people, right? I could. But, and this leads to either the anxiety of defeat or, you getting in your own dang way and letting this person's energy, how they treat you, how they change the atmosphere in your life. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been around somebody or with somebody who, like every holiday, No matter how much everybody works on making this a nice thing for everybody, there's always that person, or hopefully it's just one, that wakes up grumpy, has an attitude, in my childhood it was always you know, people getting too inebriated and having an episode, having a Jerry Springer, and I'm laughing because trauma, but, you know, um, and, there's just people like that. They just can't help themselves. It's like some kind of, well, it's not like some kind, it is. It's some kind of thing, like a thought virus that just absolutely, this is how they gain control of the situation, by being the one that is the thermostat for everybody else's comfort, uh, their emotions. You have. I'm sure you've been to a party, or into somebody's home, or to a holiday. Where when you go around that a certain person that's there, it's just tense. You're just waiting for like Uncle Bobby to start going off, or you know what I mean, or whatever. Sorry if your name's Bobby or Bob, but you know, um, so I feel like it is. It's like this is like a place where you're coming to maybe the understanding of how oppressive some of these people you've let into your life truly are. And maybe there's been the opportunity for a little bit of separation. You went off on a work thing. You haven't seen that person in a while. Baby, gas prices are through the roof. Who has money to go visiting? You know what I mean? Maybe you're off social media, so you're not seeing people, and they're, just, why are you on the internet posting stuff? Come on, you might not be exposed to all of this, so you get that separation, and instead of the fondness growing, the missing this person growing, you're starting to see like, yo, I can actually do a whole breath. Like I can breathe all the way down into, my core. I haven't been able to breathe like this in ages. What's been going on? Why have I been having anxiety, depression, um, feeling locked up in your body? And now I'm not saying it's just like this it's all their fault. But listen, sometimes we remove a variable, and it's like you pulled the 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 curtains back and the sun is shining in. You know what I mean? It takes just a simple, and I know it's not simple, but it takes a shift in something, and all of a sudden it's like voila, or how do you say that? In my head I can see it. Voila? No, that doesn't sound right. My tummy is rumbling again. I don't know. Whatever. How do you say that? Now I want to stop this and like go to my brain, dude. I don't know. I think I'm just fatigued, but also I lose my words sometimes. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's always been like this. It's nothing new. You don't have to worry about me. My brain's always been affected. Um, yeah. So, I don't know. Sometimes we just start to realize, like, and I don't care how old you are, because it's taken me, I didn't start to really start to see things that, like, I was like maybe, 30. And for me, it was first going into recovery, right? And doing the work through 12 step and, that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that's all of it, but it was something that, like, kind of at first, like, cracked the door open to kind of some true self-respect, or respect. Yeah, well, true respect, but self reflection, right? Um, some deep, honest self reflection, some really painful self reflection, like just absolutely battered by the tides. You know what I mean? Just left to like have to really honestly be with self, and it doesn't feel good. In fact, it's a pretty difficult situation for all of us, any of us that do any kind of interior work, when we get into these initial understandings of fundamental pathways or coping mechanisms, or just really deeply ingrained behaviors that we have, um, and we've relied on them, that we've maybe even been so reliant on them that we think that they are who we are. Like, this is just who I am, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is just how it be. And then it's like, nope, guess what? So I understand that, like, oh man, it's hard. It's hard when you look around and you're like, why am I choosing certain kinds of people? They just find me. They just find me. No, I'm calling out for them, right? I'm calling out for them, and they're showing up. They're showing up. And guess what? For some reason, I'm also opening the door and inviting them in. What the, you know? Uh oh. This is going to be a big overhaul for me, right? This might be the beginning of some really long term work. Or not. Maybe not. Maybe you just go back into it. Who knows? So we have the wizard. And we have this beautiful, it reminds me of like one of those capybaras or whatever, the big old rodent. They're super cute. I know. They're super cute though. And going up the hill. Look at this. Going up this hill here. We also have what looks like two people dancing down here. We have a person here, we have a person here, and it looks like they're dancing. Up here, it looks like people dancing. Okay. So I feel like there's almost this energy of really leaning into your magician, which we saw the magician, right, at the base, because you're really, dude, you can form anything from anything. You have the creativity, you have the skill sets, you have the motivation, right? Now, do you have the materials and the monies to do so? I think so. Or at least you can figure out how, right? You don't have the materials, so you write a grant, you figure it out, you get the thing. You're somebody that can uh, freak the system, as they would used to say, right? Like, you're good at finding resources, making things work, networking with people, that kind of stuff. Now, I feel like this, like, and I'm gonna not, we're not looking at this figure as like a rodent or a capybara exactly, but really the essence of something very cute, very sweet, very like, just puts you in that place of, oh, warm and fuzzy, right? So I do feel like there's almost a sense of you engaging in some kind of passion project, something that feels really good to you, that makes you kind of, I think, restores some confidence for you. And I think that makes sense if you are looking at relationships and kinds of people you've been, spending your time with, your life with, and knowing that either, you're going to have to kind of, I don't know, do some healing or adjusting, or really fully going butcher style and just, cutting out the parts that don't belong there anymore, getting rid of aspects of your life that are not of service to the greater good for whatever your vision, your dream, your true will might be, right? So then down here, I feel like we have this like time coming up where there is celebration. There's a sense of um, unifying, of things coming together, of feeling jovial. Maybe it is literally you're going to be doing some dancing, which sounds lovely. Absolutely lovely. Been in a dancing mood lately. I've been dancing a lot. I would say a lot. I mean, for me, a lot. At least a little bit every day. Doing some dancing and, I don't know. Just, I've been learning to line dance a little bit with my daughter, which has been fun. Now, it looks like it says I heart. Okay. And let's see, what else? What else are we going to see over here? The bird's like, all right, girl, go inside now. Mm. There's an anchor. And we have an M. I think it must be somebody with an M name. But we also have the anchor. And usually I would be like, okay, this is somebody that you really, and look at the question mark. Somebody you have, well, you know, decided to have in your life, but they really like kind of hold you down. But in this case, I don't think that's it. I think it's somebody who has something to do with the water and boats and cruising. But I keep seeing the faces in here. They're almost like, it's like kind of not upset, but like not happy, right? Stone face. So I feel like it's somebody who feels emotionally unavailable at times. Like they're out to sea, they come and go constantly. And I feel like there's a great love for this person. I think there's also almost like a sense of, mm, a sense of wanting to be free, I guess. I think wanting to be able to just go as you please, or having the like courage, you know what I mean, to actually get on the train. Like I packed my bags. I was like envisioning, oh, there's rabbits chasing each other. I was envisioning um like when a little kid is like, I'm running away, and like you pack up your little bag, your backpack with your like favorite toys, and I'm leaving, and um but wanting to actually be able to go. You know what I mean? Like wanting to, it's like that feeling of, you're graduating high school, and you're like going to college. I'm gonna go into some kind of higher learning, um, but also there's time for a little gap year, um, a little traveling, going abroad. Now this is an ancient uh dream anymore, I think. I don't know. Can people afford to do that, or do they do that anymore? When I graduated, that's what, now nobody really I knew could afford to do anything like that. We weren't coming from money like that. Like who's pay I could if somebody's parents were paying for college, I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? Like that's wild. And if people I knew had parents paying for college, I never heard about that. I mean, they wouldn't have told me probably because I would have been astounded, really. But yeah, I don't know. But it's the point is not about taking a gap year or being able to afford living abroad. Uh, the point is that feeling of I'd really like to do this. I know other people are going to tell me it's not a good idea, or maybe they won't, want to do the same thing, but they don't have the ability or the courage to do it themselves. So they kind of talk you down from it. Uh, but having that, like, just instinct, that wanting, that desire to do the thing, to try the thing, to maybe I'm going to fail. Maybe this is going to be the greatest adventure of my life. I don't know. But having that moment where you're like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I think that this person who seems like emotionally, they're very like straight, just very even keel, not a lot of like emotive behavior, um, stoic maybe even to some degree, but they contain vast oceans of courage, excitement, of wherewithal, of wonder, of awe, right? And I think that you're coming around to understanding this about this person, and even um, this is becoming more and more alive in you. Okay, and I think that's what that's about. So I'm going to tell you I love you, because I do. I really appreciate you being here. This is a long reading, and I hope that if you are still here with me, that I just absolutely, I love you. I love you. And be brave, man. It feels like things are very dark. And I'm not against darkness, man. I'm a night sider. If you can't tell, I'm a gremlin from the night side. But it's easy to get bogged down. And you've heard that in some of my readings myself. I absolutely get overwhelmed with that very oppressive energy that is really letting itself be known to us collectively. But here's the deal, man. It's still beautiful. It's still beautiful. Life is beautiful. We're here. We're together. Uh, there's endless potential. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let anybody step on my neck. You know what I'm saying? So, I love you. Be brave. Chin up. Chin up, baby. I'll talk to you soon.